Call Aaron Sachs and Associates.
Stream KOAM News now on the TV app, available for iOS and Android.
Now at 5, Freeman Health System transitions to new leadership. Plus, what the elimination of a federal grant means for aspiring teachers in Missouri, and
the Trump administration is rolling out new tariffs. I'm Nicole Skanga at the White House with new CBS News polling that reveals how Americans feel about the president's new trade policy.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
New leadership takes the reins at Freeman Health System. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. A symbolic transition of leadership took place today between Freeman outgoing President Paula Baker and the new Freeman president, Matthew Fry. Fry, who was chosen as the health system's new leader in January by Freeman Health System's board of directors, assumes leadership duties tomorrow. Before his move to Missouri, Fry served as president and chief executive officer of St. John's Hospital and St. John's Children's Hospital in Springfield, Illinois, as well as market president and CEO for the entire Central Illinois Market of Hospitals Sisters Health System of 6 hospitals and numerous specialist centers and clinics.
Really what it comes down to is the first 30 days is about meeting the team, getting out, rounding, meeting the physicians, getting immersed in the community, learning as much history as I can about the organization, warts and all.
Paula Baker, who announced her retirement in early 2024, has played various roles with Freeman since 1981, presiding over the health system for the last 13 years. A federally funded grant aimed at combating teacher shortages in Missouri has been eliminated. We told you in February Missouri had been approved for the $4.2 million Teacher Quality Grant, helped pay for the education of future teachers. Well, now members of the Southwest Center for Educational Excellence says that funding has dried up as part of the Trump administration's effort to reduce spending and dismantle the Department of Education.
I would urge the community to look at is whether you have children in the Seneca, the Joplin, the Webb City, the Carthage School District. That's irrelevant. We have teachers that we can't fill in those positions. So we do have a teacher shortage.
Massey says people who were using the grant are now working with MSSU for scholarships and tuition reductions. Missouri Food Bank says they're expecting to lose millions of dollars in donations from the USDA this year. It comes as the USDA confirms that $500 million in the Emergency Food Assistance Program food purchases have been permanently canceled. Ozarks Food Harvest in Springfield says they'll lose $3 million in food from the USDA. Staff at the food bank say their network of 270 charities will be unable to fill that funding gap. The Emergency Food Assistance Program made up nearly 25% of the food the bank distributes. The Kansas State Senate has approved a budget that defunds the Kansas Arts Commission. The KAC funds arts programs, including arts related to education, local murals, and other creative projects across Kansas. Darcy Schultz, the general manager of Memorial Auditorium in Pittsburgh, says she and her brother received a grant that allowed them to commission a mural in downtown Pittsburgh, something she says wouldn't have been possible without that funding. She says this potential state cut could cause programs to scale back what they do.
Limit the number of performances or productions that an organization is able to produce. It could limit the offerings. It could raise ticket prices, because now the organization is having to find ways to generate that revenue.
The Kansas State budget now moves to a conference committee. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, it's been a pretty calm Monday after, of course, severe thunderstorms we had late Saturday night into Sunday morning. Another threat's going to roll in tomorrow night. So we have a level 2 out of 5 threat in the yellow, but a level 3 once you get out through southeastern Kansas, and the highest potential for tornadic activity through southeastern Kansas. The reason it is hatched means could be significant. Now we can look at hail. You can see significant hail is possible with some of these storms. At least we're quiet outside for us right now. But as we go into Tuesday, the winds really pick up. So we're going to have those gusts kind of in that 40 to 45. But you can see a couple supercells trying to get going. This is 7:30, and these will drive through southeastern Kansas. And then the bigger line follows it behind it after midnight tomorrow night. A lot to talk about. We'll do it here in just a bit.
Catch in a few. President Trump has declared April 2nd Liberation Day. That's the day he says he's going to put in new tariffs on countries around the world that tax American-made products. The president says the move is needed to help American companies, but some consumers are worried they'll be the ones to pay the price. Nicole Skenga has more details now from the White House.
President Trump is preparing to announce a new round of tariffs on imports, pushing back against countries with their own tariffs on American-made products.
You'd start with all countries, so let's see what happens.
The president is set to announce the reciprocal tariffs during a Rose Garden event on Wednesday. And that's just one part of new trade policies taking effect this week. Thursday, the U.S. begins a 25% tax on all imported vehicles and auto parts.
The people that are going to make money are people that manufacture cars in the United States. Outside of the United States, that's going to be up to them. I don't care too much about that.
Trump administration officials say the new tariffs will bring in more than $6 trillion over the next decade.
It's time for reciprocity, and it's time for a president to take historic change to do what's right for the American people, and that's going to take place on Wednesday.
The president insists companies, not consumers, will be hit with the import tax hike. But in a new CBS News poll, 72% of those surveyed say the tariffs will result in higher prices in the short term. Nearly half say that will be true in the long term as well.
We've had people make very quick decisions to buy a car because they're concerned about the tariffs.
The Trump administration says the taxes are needed to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. Nicole Skenga, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump said over the weekend he couldn't care less if the auto tariffs raise prices because higher prices on imports would encourage people to buy American-made cars instead. But even American-made cars do use parts made outside of the country, and those parts will be subject to the new tariffs as well. The massive earthquake in Southeast Asia on Friday has killed more than 1,700 people. Most of the dead are in Myanmar, near the epicenter of the quake. The military government there is asking for help. Damaged roads, bridges, and downed power lines have made it impossible for rescue teams to reach some communities in that impoverished country. Meanwhile, in Thailand, hope is fading at the construction site where dozens of workers were buried when the skyscraper collapsed moments after the earthquake hit. Some babies are just too young to get the measles vaccine. We're going to see how some parents are trying to protect their newborns from the disease, plus the link between antidepressants and cardiac arrest. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, the United States has already had nearly 500 cases of measles this year. That's a lot more than all of last year, and of course it's not even April. Omar Villafranca spoke with a mom in West Texas trying to protect her newborns who, like millions of others, are too young to be vaccinated.
Davery Hasso's 3-week-old twins, Ezra and Adriel, arrived in West Texas in the middle of the state's worst measles outbreak in decades.
How do you strike that balance of being probably hyper-aware, but also trying to tell yourself, like, we're going to be okay?
It's hard. It is very hard. I try to keep myself calm and just like, hey, you know, if it happens, it happens.
But taking precautions.
100%. Taking a lot of precautions.
Adriel was born with breathing issues, so Hasso's trying to stay especially careful.
I do have concerns as far as going out in public or doing certain things.
Typically, the first dose of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine is given to babies 12 to 15 months old. Then, a second dose is given between 4 to 6 years of age. But now, in a recent article in the Journal of the American Medical Association, former CDC Director Rochelle Walensky is recommending federal changes to add an extra dose for kids as early as 6 months, if they're living in or plan to travel to a measles outbreak area.
We have generally between 2 and 4 patients in the hospital each day with measles.
Dr. Laura Johnson is the Chief Medical Officer at Covenant Health in Lubbock, on the front line of the West Texas outbreak.
Is there any concern moving it up to 6 months? Parents may wonder, hey, is this safe for the kid at 6 months?
Sure, yeah. It is. There really aren't any significant concerns with that.
It is something that I would consider, just for the safety of my kids, really.
For Hasso, it's peace of mind in an ongoing outbreak.
Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Lubbock, Texas.
Doctors say the MMR vaccine is very effective for prevention. 1 dose, in fact, is 93% effective. 2 doses, 97%. People who take antidepressants face a substantially higher risk of cardiac arrest. A study by the European Society of Cardiology found people who took antidepressants for 1 to 5 years had a 56% higher risk of sudden cardiac death than those who did not. The risk was even higher for people who took the medications for 6 or more years. Despite more and more people running marathons, the risk of dying during a race is actually on the decline. A study by Emory University looked into sudden cardiac arrest during long-distance running events and found while the rate of heart attacks hasn't changed, the chance for survival has doubled, likely due to more emergency health workers and services being readily accessible at races. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, digital detox, how more and more people are escaping their smartphone.
Plus, we have more thunderstorm and a severe threat moving in. We're going to look at that coming up.
Big money at Menards.
651064.
Well, it turned out to be a much cooler Monday for us today. Kind of gloomy outside. Temps most of the day in the 40s. We popped into the 50s with some sunshine that has made it out finally over the past couple hours. Great shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, temperatures cool, well below average. Most of us 50 to about 55 degrees across the board. Through the evening, at least we don't get too cold tonight. We slide back through the 40s, down to 45 by midnight. I think most of us lower 40s. Now the winds return. I know you've really missed those, but here they come again tomorrow. We're going to have gusts 40, 45, maybe a little bit higher than that. Winds stay super strong Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then they switch kind of out of the west, but still breezy on Wednesday. Reason being, next storm system is moving in. Not much out there yet. You can see those clouds kind of eroding, but our storm system is building back across the western third of the country. Look at the big upper level wave in the Pacific Northwest. That's going to head toward us as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow. So we have a level 3 out of 5 severe weather threat. This is mainly Tuesday night. Level 2 for everybody else. Timing. We could get a few thunderstorms that try to pop up mid-evening, so let's say 9 or 10 p.m. If we don't get those, then timing is going to be about 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Large hail winds, but we do have at least a chance for all modes of severe weather, watching what could develop tomorrow night. All right, let's go hour by hour. In and out of the clouds tonight, low 40s. We're going to have mostly cloudy skies on your Tuesday. Should get into the mid-60s by noon. And I think most of us 70, 71, 72 degrees. Here's 5 p.m. We're going to be watching out across central parts of Kansas. You can see a couple thunderstorms start to pop up. If these can get going, the atmosphere is going to be very unstable, so they would likely rotate. If they can fire up and kind of push through southeastern Kansas, one could pop up in Oklahoma as well, and then we get a little bit of a lull. Then here comes the main show, pushing in after midnight. So here's midnight, very similar to what we had Saturday night, very similar threats as well. Drive southeast, strong to severe storms. Here's 2 or 3 a.m. all the way south of I-44, so it's an all-night event into Wednesday morning. Then the severe threat will shift off to our east. Let's go down the road because outside of severe weather, we have rain, which is going to sit on us all week. We get more rain on Thursday, have another system moving in on Friday, and this is good springtime beneficial showers and thunderstorms. This system moves out. Here comes another system as we head into the weekend. So potential rainfall over the next 6 days, it's way up there. A lot of us could pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain this week. An alert day tomorrow night, 71, 74 on Wednesday, cooling down a bit Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with rain on and off through that period, and then we dry out next week.
As you say, rain, of course, is beneficial this time of year to some extent, but there comes a point where it's just running off.
Yeah,
you don't want to get too fast.
Yeah, don't want to get too much at one time.
And we don't want the severe stuff.
No.
Thanks, Doug. Some AT&T customers are going to pay a little bit more. We'll explain coming up in Consumer Watch. Topping today's Consumer Watch, some AT&T customers are going to pay a little bit more for service. The carrier announced it'll soon trim its monthly auto pay discount. Starting April 24th, the rebate will go down to $5, half of what it was before. There is an exception. The $10 rebate will remain for customers enrolled with a bank account. In a world where we're constantly connected, it can be tough to put down our phones. But with studies showing more than 60% of Americans feeling overwhelmed by nonstop notifications, digital detoxing is gaining momentum. Tina Kraus shows us how people are embracing the tech-free trend overseas.
So hold your phone in your hand. A call to action rang out in a packed park in the British capital over the weekend, with hundreds holding up their phones to power them down.
You're just used to being plugged in at all times, and so it's really important to just reconnect and get back to what it means to be human.
The simultaneous shutdown hosted by the Offline Club drew big crowds in London.
So the moment we're going for is 4,000 people holding up their phones, turning it off at the same time.
The phone-free event is part of a growing digital detox trend.
It does seem to be gaining popularity. It seems like people are really craving those moments with each other and with themselves.
The Offline Club has opened chapters around the world, offering screenless sanctuaries to help people reconnect. Statistics show almost all Americans own a mobile phone and spend 4.5 hours on it each day, checking it more than 140 times. Something many digital-dependent Brits say they can relate to.
I've cut down on my notifications a lot for that reason, because it's stressful always having stuff on my phone. So it's nice, again, having a break where everyone's doing it.
The 2-hour tech timeout came as the sun was setting, with no phones out to capture the moment.
Actually, just being in the present and being able to watch it firsthand is precious.
A chance to recharge from the digital drain. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
The Offline Club has hosted events in cities across Europe and the Middle East. Other digital detox groups here in the U.S. host events and retreats, including scanner-free summer camps for adults. If you have a problem with using your smartphone to procrastinate, well, listen up. A study in Frontiers found even when people put their smartphones out of reach, they procrastinated just as much. They just found new ways to avoid their work. The study author suggests it's not just smartphones that are the problem, it's our actions. A final check of the forecast up next.
Barnhart, a four-state hero.
Up next on the CBS Evening News, will a baseball bat shaped like a bowling pin change the game? Then on KOAM News at 6, a man injured in a weekend motorcycle crash in Joplin has died. Plus, authorities launch a homicide investigation following a weekend shooting in Lawrence County, Missouri. And a Pittsburgh high school athlete commits to continue playing football at a local college. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. You're going to want to stay informed, certainly for the next day or so, because there's a possibility of some nasty weather tomorrow evening.
Yeah, tomorrow we're going to warm up. It's going to be very windy, but tomorrow evening we could get a couple thunderstorms that would go severe, but then our main show. Big line of storms, very similar to what we saw Saturday night. It's going to work in tomorrow night. And then just rounds of regular old showers and thunderstorms the rest of the week.
The regular old vanilla variety. Okay, tomorrow we will keep you informed. I know you'll keep it here. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.